We have with us John Greenwood, Chief International Economist at Invesco Asset Management. John, thanks very much for joining us today. Just looking ahead, it does appear that there's quite a big split developing between what the US is saying, which pump more money in, the economy is still very fragile, and the austerity measures we're seeing in Europe. Is that fair?
Yes, that's a situation we've reached because Europe has essentially reached the limits of fiscal sustainability. The markets are now sceptical about how much more debt Europeans can issue.
And the US is in a slightly different position as well, isn't it?
It had a better starting point. Government debt to GDP was substantially lower than most of the European economies, so they can probably go on for longer. But as we've seen with other countries like Japan in the 90s, you certainly cannot go on with fiscal stimulus indefinitely. It's very important to get the private sector growing again. And I think US plans are consistent with that at the moment.
So do you think we're going to see much cohesion then in the meeting?
I think there'll be a bringing together in terms of the formula in the statement at the end of the meeting. But that doesn't mean that the underlying policies will be brought together more closely.
Right. And do you expect the sovereign debt crisis to overshadow the meeting?
It's undoubtedly the most important thing for the Europeans, and it's also a big issue for the Canadians. The Canadians, having had a much more successful regime of bank supervision and control in the run-up to this, are very reluctant to embark on some of the measures that are being proposed either in Europe or in North America to solve this.
The bank levy obviously being
correct. The bank levy is a substitute really for having lower levels of leverage, higher levels of capital, and better quality capital. Essentially what happened through the last decade is that banks found their way around those various, well, we didn't have the leverage controls in many countries, although they did in Canada and Spain. But banks found their way around, and with the agreement, even collaboration of Basel. So a lot of the controls and supervision was watered down.
Indeed. John Greenwood from Invesco, thank you very much indeed for sharing your insights with us this morning.